apparently quite the week for me to be wearing a bow tie. I think I've done like 4 videos this week, and I've been wearing the bow tie in 3 of them. So what I'm trying to say is I'm not doing as good at this video thing as I should be doing. But the good news is I'm doing good on the reading. I've actually finished Luke now. I'm in John. John is my favorite. We'll get into the reasons for that later. But Luke, talked previously about what Matthew and Mark are. That Luke is more of a historian. He's Greek, not Jewish like Matthew and Mark are. Although Mark is probably written to a Greek or a Gentile at the least audience. Luke is writing to Theophilus. This is in chapter 1, verse 3. Theophilus is a title. It might be a person too, but it really just means lover of God. So it's basically to all those who love God, this is for you. And talks about how he's gone and talked to people who were eyewitness to these events. So it's not just based on the traditions of Peter. It's not just based on the gospel of the Old Testament and how it connects. It is based on, according to Luke, who he's gone and spoken with. So, the other cool thing about Luke is that Luke gives us a lot of information about Mary. And this is where there gets to be that little belief that the genealogy of Christ in Matthew is about Joseph's lineage, and the genealogy in Luke chapter 3 comes about Mary's lineage, or vice versa. I don't remember why. I think it's that Luke is Mary's lineage, because they don't match up and they are splitting, but because Luke gives us a lot of background on Mary. And perhaps more importantly, it starts with the story of John the Baptist. We know that John the Baptist is the one who's going to go before. He is that Elias that shall come and prepare for the way of the Lord. But what's really cool is, so that's where Luke starts the story. And that's where John starts the story later, too. Although then that also is because it ties into the fact of his name and everything. So, it begins with the story of Zacharias and the prophecy that he would have a son, the punishment that he would have. And it doesn't actually go, it goes into, so pretty much, chapter 1 of Luke is all about John. It does talk about the angel Gabriel telling Mary that she will have a child. I'm trying to find the verse. Yeah, but most of it is really about the relationship between John, Zacharias, Elizabeth, and Mary, and it's cool. And it has the Magnificat, which is beautiful. You should really read. And the thing I wanted to get into is Mary. If you were familiar with Hebraic customs, or even about ancient Near Eastern customs in general, this is one of those things where we need to really, really avoid historical and cultural imperialism in our readings, because Mary is 12 years old, probably, maybe 13, right? Like she is in modern Mormon parlance, she's a beehive, if that. So, yeah, fun stuff, right? And Elizabeth is a lot older than her. I don't remember if their exact age is given, but she's a lot older. So they say cousin. They might not actually mean cousin. It might be like great aunt. So if we really want to look at this, you could look at this as another version of the story of the summer with Great Aunt Rose. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. Then we get into the Christmas story and the Nativity, and it's beautiful, and I've read it before. It's on another video somewhere in here. But then I like the stories of Anne and Simeon. And Anne and Simeon are the two people who they're the old people who live in the temple. I'm sure you probably know the kind. And Simeon, and this I really love. So, chapter 2, verse 25, and behold, there was a man in Jerusalem, whose name was Simeon. And the same man was just and devout, waiting for the consolation of Israel, and the Holy Ghost was upon him. And it was revealed unto him by the Holy Ghost that he should not see death before he had seen the Lord's Christ. And he came by the Spirit into the temple, and when the parents brought in the child Jesus to do for him after the custom of the law, then took he him up in his arms, and blessed God, and said, Lord, now lettest thy servant depart in peace according to thy word, for mine eyes have seen thy salvation. And then he gives this beautiful poem, and that's just, it's great. And then he talks to Mary about some things too, and I could get into that, but I like how his thing is, Lord, now you can let me die, because I've seen the salvation. I know it's going to come. He wasn't seeking after a sign, right? I've had conversations with people about sign seekers. Being a sign seeker is a bad thing. Ooh, scary. But he has faith that he will see the salvation of the Lord, and this is confirming his faith. It's not this is a sign, but it's signs come to confirm the faith of them that believe. They don't come to create the faith. And there was one other thing that I wanted to do. Oh, and then in chapter 3 with John and the baptism. Now this is really neat. If I can find it again. If I can remember how to spell baptism, which I can't do. There's a lot of baptisms. So in Matthew and Luke, in Matthew and Mark, or is it just Matthew? Whichever, in the other places where Jesus is baptized, it says, "Behold my beloved Son in whom I am well pleased," or it says, "This is my beloved Son," right? That's the way the primary song goes. 2. In Luke 22, "And the Holy Ghost descended in bodily shape like a dove upon him, and a voice came from heaven which said, Thou art my beloved Son." In the other narratives, the voice of the Lord is speaking to the crowd, or the voice of the Father, is speaking to the crowd of people to let them know that this is his Son. In Luke, it's the Father speaking to the Son, saying that you are my Son, not telling the crowd, this is my guy, you need to pay attention, but it's telling him, this is who it is. And I don't know if that means anything special, but I like it. And that's all. I'll go into other stuff later, but this is already 7 minutes. And I love you. Thanks. Bye.